Hello everyone, this is Bobbin Threadbare, and welcome back to The Longest Journey. We didn't find who we were looking for in here, but we forgot to ask the innkeeper too. So let's fix that.
Excuse me?
Yes? Oh, it is you.
I'm looking for a guest of yours, Tunlayak.
The sailor? She is looking for work today, I'm afraid. With most of the ships moored to the docks for balance knows how long, it is difficult for sailors to find work.
Do you know when Tunlayak is expected back?
I could not tell you, child, but from what I know of the ships in harbor, she will not find one that needs a navigator anytime soon.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome, child.
Well, that's a shame. Well, luckily we've got other things that need to be done. Like, we need to talk to Abraxas, but first there's another person who should probably know that we're back in town. That's right, Vistram Tobias.
Good morning.
Why, it's April, my friend from Stark. Have you come to visit us again?
So it appears. I didn't exactly come here by choice this time, though.
Oh? How so, if I may ask?
In a weird and twisted way, it's nothing out of what's become the substitute for ordinary in my life. One second I was in my room in Newport. The next, I was in a dark alley in Mercuria.
You must have opened a shift while you were sleeping. Good. This means you are learning to harness your magic.
Yeah, I guess, except I don't think I'll be able to get back home again. And this time, my mentor, Cortez, has no idea that I'm here.
But I'm sure you will find a way to channel and control your powers soon. In the meantime, is there anything I can do to help?
Well, there's a lot you can do, apparently.
I need help getting back home.
Unfortunately, I'm in no better state today to help you shift than I was the day before yesterday. You are the one with the talent, and so you must learn to use that talent.
I need to locate the disc that unlocks the Guardian's tower.
The disc that is the key? Yes, it is needed. It might even restore balance, provided the new Guardian accompanies it to the tower, of course. But you wish to find the disc yourself?
I have to. Cliché or not, it's our only hope.
You do this often, then? Save worlds?
It's an expression. Heroism in my world is more of a cliché than anything else.
I do not understand. But then I am merely a servant of the balance, while you are more. But yes, the disc. As I told you once before, when the Earth was divided, and the realm of the Guardian created, a disc was forged in the Well of Making. The disc was to serve two purposes: as a key to the Tower of Balance should it become necessary to enter it in the Guardian's absence, and as a replacement for the disc that is already in the tower should it be broken. The tower is now abandoned and locked, and the old disc shattered. I do think the time is right for the second disc to be brought forward and used.
Where is the disc now?
At first, more than 12,000 years ago, it was kept in the open, at the Sentinel Enclave outside Mercuria. However, when thieves attempted to make away with the disc, it was taken away.
Why?
So that the four parts of the disc could be divided amongst four of the magical people of Arcadia, people who would have nothing to gain from the balance being compromised.
What people were the disc divided amongst?
This I cannot tell you. I am not sure anyone remembers now. But it would be in the scriptures, I am certain.
What scriptures?
The scriptures of the balance. There are 13 of them. 13 is a strong number, rich in tradition, and did you know the Irede High Council consists of 13 ministers? No, of course you don't. 13 was also the number of the fathers who begat the Sentinel, and who built the Tower of Balance.
Where can I find the scriptures of the balance?
Pay a visit to the Sentinel Enclave, located outside the city to the east. The great library of the Enclave contains every book ever written by an Arcadian minstrel, and most others as well. Speak with Minstrom Yerin, the keeper of books. Tell him I sent you.
Alright, sounds like a new destination.
I need to find the entrance to the Guardian's realm.
There is one. You are right in that, but where, I would not venture to guess. In the past, when the time came for the Guardian to step down and another to take his or her place, the Guardian opened a gateway wherever it was needed. A Guardian, still in full control of the balance, can invite anyone in and let anyone out. But with the Guardian gone, the only way in would be the point where the divide was first created, where the tower was built.
Isn't that location written down somewhere?
Remember that this was done on the old Earth before the divide. After the divide, after the creation of Stark and Arcadia, places were shifted about. This entrance may not even be on the ground anymore.
What do you mean?
It could be up there, in the sky, or far below us, through the crust of the Earth into the molten depths below. I cannot say, and I do not know anyone who could.
Well, that's too bad.
Isn't there any way to locate the entrance to the Guardian's realm?
Perhaps with careful investigation of the old texts, histories of Arcadia, of the Divide, the scriptures. I do not know, April, but it cannot hurt to look. Again, you will find these texts...
Yeah, I got that, thanks.
I need to locate the 2 dragons that reside in Arcadia.
The Drykin?
What's the difference?
Dragons is a word from your world. The kin are not what they have become in your legends and fairy tales.
But they're real, aren't they?
Oh, as real as you and me, April. And old. They have been here since before our time. As you probably remember, the kin were instrumental in the Divide, saving mankind from a terrible end. But I know so little. Only what I can remember from my studies when I was a minstrel at the Enclave.
How can I get more information on the Drykin?
Let me guess.
Books, daughter, books. The wisdom of the ages. There is one tome you should study, called The Secrets of the Drykin, by Minstrom Elniak. It is old but informative, and it captures the imagination.
Where can I find this book?
Again, you will find...
Yep.
Thank you, Tobias.
Good to know I could help you, April.
Well, guess I know where we're headed next. Well, maybe not immediately next. Still got an appointment to keep. But yes, the Enclave is on the map now. As is a new entry in April's diary. It's Monday now. Oh, interesting place.
That's one mother of a plant. I wonder if it's a carnivore. It's a flower bed. There's plenty of room for more seeds to be planted in there. It looks to have been carved out of a large tree, but the texture of the house is more stone than bark.
Funny house. Speaking of funny, there's something interesting you can do with this leaf, finally.
I'm not very good at this, but hey, I was born on a farm. That's gotta count for something. Oh, grow. Whoa, I must be a natural-born gardener. Strangest thing, I thought I heard a voice say something about a book of secrets. That the book of secrets is now open. Something like that. Huh.
Yep, the Book of Secrets is a main menu option. It's basically got, like, developer notes, sketches, outtakes, that sort of thing. You can also get it by finishing the game, but this lets you get it early. And yeah, I guess growing that plant must have been April's blossoming magic powers, because I don't really see how else that could have happened. Anyway, let's get inside here.
It's a solid oak door.
Enter, honored guest, and I would have been with you presently.
You don't even know what present is. I guess he's on the next floor up. Looks more wooden in here.
Some of them look to be in English, but I know they're not. It's the Altung language Tobias told me about. The tongue of magic. Sounds a little disgusting, to be honest.
You're too used to people using the word tongue just to refer to the organ. So again, try and listen for April to say her name.
Be welcome, stranger, to my abode.
Stranger? Don't you remember me? You invited me here.
Every moment we meet, and every moment we part. You are both stranger and friend, April Ryan.
I'm sorry, but could you try to be a little less obtuse this time? I have a hard time understanding half of what you say.
I will beg for your forgiveness, April Ryan. I had a hard time to make myself understood amongst other peoples. I will pull myself into this moment, difficult as it may be, so that we can communicate and so that you may understand. It is important that you understand, April Ryan, very important.
Okay, I guess we're starting at the beginning.
Who are you?
I am Abnaxus of the Venar, ambassador to the Ireed Council in Marcuria. My people live far from here, and they do rarely visit your kind, and so I am their sole link to humans and Dolmari.
Why is that?
I alone among the Venar am able to focus on a particular moment and thread in time, and so to speak with those who flow with time, like you.
How do your people perceive time?
It is hard to explain. Any moment before this moment and any moment after is the same to me as this one. I have lived already, and I am yet to live. Do you understand me?
I think so, but how's that possible?
Everything is possible, April Ryan. There is magic, and there is science, and between the two, everything is possible.
Mostly magic in this case.
Can you see the future?
To me, every moment is the same. There is no future. I can relate moments you have yet to see, and I can unravel possible threads. But remember, the future I see may not be the one into which you walk. Moments and threads fluctuate, change. I can remember things that have never come to pass, and I have seen things that will never be.
So you can't tell the future.
I would see your possible futures, the likely threads among hundreds. If there was not a veil in time, I would.
What's this veil you keep talking about?
Somewhere ahead, in our path, there is a dark veil through which I cannot pass, past which I cannot see. It is disconcerting to me to be blocked from the moments of my life.
How did this veil come to be?
It was, no, will be created in chaos, by chaos, to keep the future hidden. All threads converge on a single point here, beyond the veil, and this will happen only once. It is written.
Written? Where?
In the prophecies.
Of course, there's prophecies.
Tell me about the prophecies.
Words have been written by seers who can discern from all possible threads the threads that are certain to be woven. These words are the prophecies.
And what do the prophecies say?
Prophecies speak of a time when the balance will falter, weakened by the assault of chaos and its servants. The moment the veil falls is the moment of uncertainty. The balance may stand, the balance may fall. I cannot tell which it will be, and I cannot even see the possibilities, the threads extending from each fork. But the prophecies also speak of a Savior, as the prophecies usually do, one who will bring order to chaos, only to release chaos on the innocent, one who will restore the balance, only to finally break it.
That doesn't sound like a savior.
The word in my tongue is Kanang La. Literally translated, it means the small seed who grew to a tall tree.
Huh.
Can I ask you a few questions?
Yes.
Could you tell me a little bit about yourself, Abnaxis?
Me? About myself? We, the Venar, are not good at speaking of ourselves. We always know who we are, and so we have no need to tell each other.
Well, are you married? Do you have kids? Or perhaps your people don't marry?
Yes, we do marry, and we always know who we are to be with, because our future is also our past, and so we also know our children, even though, according to your reckoning, they have yet to be born. My wife will be, the beautiful Abyanda. She lives by the Bay of Fire in the east. She gave birth to our 3 female children, Abratha, Abalexa, Abpalmana.
How long has it been since you last saw them?
I see them now, April Ryan. Do not forget I perceive time in a different manner from your kind. I have given them your regards.
Well, say hi to them for me.
He already has. What's his point?
Why did you come here to Marcuria?
I was chosen to be ambassador to Ireed when I showed a talent for seeing the flow of time from one point to the next. I was trained for a long time in locking myself into a single moment to communicate and understand your world. My people do not normally involve themselves with others, but the veil has forced us to do so.
Why don't the Venar want to involve themselves with humans?
In the wrong hands, our knowledge is dangerous. To know of the possible fluctuating futures, this can be a weapon to some who flow with time. We cannot interfere with your time. We are not allowed.
Who says?
The balance, the guardian. The guardian watches not only the balance between worlds, but also the balance within. Time is in balance, and if this balance is upset, the guardian would know.
I thought the Guardian was gone.
So he is, and that makes it even more crucial to my people that we preserve the balance and not upset it. Chaos is our enemy, April Ryan, and we do our part to keep it at bay, as do you.
Are you planning on ever going back to your people?
When we pass through the veil to the other side and time yet again opens up, I will return to my people. I look forward to that day. I miss my people, and it is hard to speak with your kind. It makes me tired.
I know what you mean. I'm a stranger here too.
You will bring us through the veil, April Ryan, and then we can both leave this place and go home.
Where is your home, Abnaxis?
Across the border mountains and north, to where the forests are evergreen, and where in winter the land turns white.
So I guess we're too far south to see snow here?
Do you know Father Tobias?
Tobias is a faithful servant of the balance, and he is a good man. He leads the sentinel down a narrow path, but he never wavers. We are friends.
So, I can trust him?
Trust is a concept which often puzzles me. Amongst my people there is never distrust. We always know the truth. But amongst your people, amongst those who flow with time, trust is important, a fragile thing. But yes, I do think Tobias is to be trusted fully. I cannot see beyond the veil, but up to that point there is no thread in which he betrays your trust, April Ryan.
Have you heard of a man named Cortez?
No, I have not. But that does not mean I do not know him. Names are often fleeting, April Ryan.
He's my... well, some have called him my mentor, others a nutcase. I'm not sure which it is, but I'm leaning towards the former.
Your mentor? He is a shifter as well?
No, I don't think so. He doesn't travel. Shift between Stark and Arcadia.
I do not see him in my life, April Ryan. I do not know him. Beyond the veil, perhaps, but not before.
Thanks, Abnaxis.
You are always welcome, April Ryan.
I need some help in my quest.
Yes, you did.
I did? And what did you answer?
That I will help you as much as I can, but in the end...
I'm on my own. I've heard that one before.
Alright, let's get started.
What do you know about dragons?
I do not know much about the kin, but I do know a little. Perhaps it will help you, perhaps not. The Draic kin came to this world a very, very long time ago, before the dawn of man, before the divide. The Venar had yet to learn to be outside time, and there were few other peoples on Earth. The kin played an important part in the divide, in separating magic from science, and in the founding of the Fathers, the Sentinel, to watch over the balance. It is said that after the divide of the 4 Draic kin that came to Earth, 2 went to Stark, and 2 to Arcadia. But that was a long time ago, 12,000 of your years. I do not know what has become of them since.
Your years? Maybe you perceive time differently, but this is still your planet, dude.
You don't know where I may find these Draikin?
No, the white of the Draikin, the mother, has, according to legend, been sighted. The tale of the silver spear of Gorimon speaks of the mother and her child. Though I think this is but a tale, and far from the truth.
The story is called The Silver Spear of Gorimon?
Yes, unfortunately I do not have this book myself, and I do not know of anyone who does.
Well, luckily we know where we can find a library.
What about the other dragon, the other Dryadkin?
Of the Dryadkin, I only know of the mother, the white of the kin, although I have heard tell of a god who fell from the sky into the ocean a great long time ago. But this may also be just a tale.
Well, apparently it's important.
What else do you know about this god who fell from the sky?
Only what I have told you. Someone with greater knowledge of the ocean and the creatures that live beneath its surface may be able to tell you more.
Have you heard of a disc that works as a key to the Guardian's realm?
Yes, but very little. It has been spoken of in the I Read Council only recently, brought to attention by the Tyrant Ambassador. He wished to know where it is kept.
And what was the answer?
No one at the council knows or admitted to knowing, and the ambassador was asked to speak with the Sentinel, which he is unlikely to concede to. The Tyrant are allied with the Vanguard, and so are in political and ideological opposition with the Sentinel. I know Vestrum Tobias. He would not speak a word with the Tyrant, nor the Vanguard. Not unless it was to challenge their philosophies.
So you don't know where I can find the disc?
No. Ask Vestrum Tobias.
Well, luckily we already did. So, next question.
Do you know anything about a rift leading to the Guardian's realm?
I have heard speak of such a thing. I believe it was where the tower was built and the divide created. When the earth was one, it might still be open.
Any idea where it is?
I am afraid the Venar were never very involved in the affairs of the Sentinel, nor took any part in the divide except to agree to the necessity of it. We had little choice but to concede. We are a magical people. We need the balance, because we could not survive without magic.
How would I go about fighting chaos?
You cannot fight chaos. It is not so simple. To oppose chaos, one must return order to that which has been affected by chaos, and thus reduce its powers. But this is not something everyone can do. Only those ordained by the balance can embark on such a dangerous task and survive.
That's about it for now.
I am glad I could be of assistance, April Ryan.
Thanks for your hospitality, Obnaxus.
Goodbye. Blessings of the balance to you, April Ryan, and may your journey have been a long and fruitful one.
So, wait, you have to be ordained in the balance to pick up litter?
It's a nicely crafted bench.
Whatever. Chaos is such a vague concept to be the enemy. Alright. Not much to that. And I can't interact with the spiral staircase or walk up it at all. So I guess that's it. And that's also it for the video. Oh, well, there's one other thing. Yeah, the last page of April's diary. But that's it for the video. Today's movie review is going to be an interesting one. Patron Sean Walsh has requested The Adventures of Pluto Nash, an Eddie Murphy movie that came out in 2002. Apparently it's worth watching for the setting, if not the plot, and I guess we'll see for ourselves soon enough. The story about the story. Let me start with Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy is a New York City native who started his professional career with stand-up comedy in the 1970s. By the early 80s, he was a rising star in the genre, putting out albums of his routines and filming specials for theaters and videotapes. This was also around the time he joined the Saturday Night Live cast, which got him regular national exposure and a big group of comedian friends. In 1982, Murphy starred in a movie called 48 Hours, which became a hit. The next year, he came out with Trading Places and co-starred with Dan Aykroyd, another former SNL member. In 1984, Murphy was almost in Ghostbusters, but he was too busy at the time with Beverly Hills Cop, the first movie in which he would be the only star. Beverly Hills Cop became the best-grossing comedy and the best-grossing R-rated film up to that point, so while he was missed in Ghostbusters, he definitely made the right choice. By the late 80s, Murphy was such a star that he could make a stinker like The Golden Child and still get a big profit. However, in the 90s, his career would start to slow down. Murphy started to see more success in kids' movies and less success in adult comedies, and that trend would continue on through the aughts, which is when today's movie came out. Murphy continues to act today, but he's slowed down somewhat from his heyday. Anyway, I'm telling you the Eddie Murphy story because The Adventures of Pluto Nash was mostly just a vehicle for him. Apparently, the script was first written in the mid-80s, and after passing between one scriptwriter after another, someone finally decided to make a version where Eddie Murphy could play both the hero and the villain. It was kind of a thing for a while to cast Murphy in several roles at once. So they got him on board, they brought in a bunch of other comedians like Randy Quaid and Jay Moore, and they filmed it in the year 2000. And then the film just sat there for 2 years before someone decided they should at least make some money off of it, and released it in 2002. Everyone hated Pluto Nash. Critics hated it, and it made $7.1 million at the box office on a $100 million budget. The movie sucked so bad it set records. It's apparently done better after a DVD release, but still not nearly enough to recoup the expenses. It actually sounds kind of impressive in its own way. So how about we start pulling this thing apart, starting with the story. The movie begins on the moon, 2080. Humans apparently colonized the satellite a long time ago, and now there are districts like Little America. The gravity under the protective dome is a full 1G. After a couple of shots to establish all of this, the movie focuses on a dive bar called Frankowski's. Tony Frankowski himself is dying on stage, but our protagonist Pluto Nash is sticking it out because he's friends with the guy. Afterwards, the two speak together in what I'm sure would have been rapid-fire repartee if either actor had cared about the dialogue. As it is, it's about as depressing as Frankowski's song. Anyway, a couple mobsters come in and start roughing up Tony while Pluto's in the bathroom, and when Pluto comes out, the older mobster starts getting friendly with him. Turns out Pluto recently got out of prison for smuggling, and he made a few contacts on the inside. Well, Tony borrowed $2.5 million from the mob to buy his club, and he hasn't paid any of it back, so to save his life and give himself a fresh start, Pluto offers to buy the club. So now it's 7 years later, 2087. Pluto has turned the place around and made it a dance club. On a random Tuesday night, he gets approached by Dina Lake, a singer from Earth who needs money to get back home, but whose moon card has expired. Dina's father was an old comrade of Pluto's, but Pluto doesn't need a singer, so he gives her a job waiting tables. After closing time, a couple slimy-looking guys walk into Pluto's club and offer to take it off his hands for $10 million. The younger visitor gets violent, and that's when Randy Quaid walks in. Apparently, he's an old but still dangerous robot called Bruno. Things calm down after that, and the goons explain that they work for Rex Crater, who's been buying up businesses throughout the area so that he can open casinos once the government legalizes gambling in the area. Pluto refuses, and the two leave with a threat. Dina heads up to Pluto's office to give him a martini, and so she's there when the slimy guy gives Pluto one last chance before blowing up his club. The explosion hits the main floor, so Pluto, Dina, and Bruno are okay, but the club is a mess. When they exit the building, someone shoots at Pluto, and Pluto runs after him. But Dina uses Bruno to intercept a call about an ambush, and so they both hurry to intercept it. Pluto runs straight into a bar full of Rex Crater's goons, and a firefight ensues. Dina shows up just in time to state the obvious and to be a distraction, but then she grabs an automatic pistol and takes a whole bunch of goons down. Then Bruno shows up with a pair of hand cannons and demolishes the place. After they get away, Dina asks for enough money to get home since she did help with the fight, but Pluto tells her that the bar was full of biometric cameras, so now she's a marked woman who has to stay with him to survive. So Pluto rents a room at a hotel where he's friends with the manager, and leaves both Dina and Bruno behind so he can do some investigating. Pluto heads to a pool hall to speak to an old acquaintance of his, Roland. Roland is a retired cop, and while he doesn't know how to get to Rex Crater, he's heard a rumor that Rex is a clone. A cloning specialist came to the moon 8 years ago, but she got murdered. However, her assistant, Mona Zimmer, is still alive, and Roland helps Pluto get her address. Pluto brings Dina to Mona's body mod clinic to pose as a married couple who want a new look. So the movie spends some time playing around with awkward early 2000s CGI, and after that, Pluto bribes and then busts the doctor with a fake police badge. He gets her to talk about her old boss, but all she can tell him is that she worked with someone whose initials are WZW. When they get back to the hotel, Pluto finds his mother waiting for him. She's at least as tough as he is, and she insists that Pluto should go to Earth to get away from all of this. Crater's goons show up soon after, and there's an action scene as everyone escapes. Pluto then gets a couple of spacesuits from Roland and steals a flying car to get to Farside, another settlement. Oh, and the car has an automatic chauffeur, played by John Cleese of Monty Python fame. John Cleese is not funny at any point during his appearance. Pluto leaves the highway behind and drives to his safe house, an abandoned prospecting dome in the middle of nowhere. There, Dina points out that WZW could be MZM, and this lets Pluto find Michael Zoroaster Marucci, complete with a mugshot of Alec Baldwin. Pluto suspects Rex Crater is Marucci's clone, and Roland confirms that it's at least plausible. Roland goes to his contacts in the Force with his theory, but then he gets shot in the back. Pluto's mother calls him with the bad news, and soon after that, the goons show up at the safe house with no real answer given for how they found it. The goons blast the dome, but Pluto and Dina are prepared for the decompression and are hiding in the bathroom. There's a low-G action scene with some painfully obvious wire effects, and it eventually turns into a lunar car chase. Pluto gets away, but he crashes his car in the process. And while the goons check the crashed car, they give up before searching for, say, footprints. Footprints that never disappear in the windless vacuum of the lunar surface. Dina, Pluto, and Bruno start walking across the surface, but it's not long before the humans run out of oxygen. Bruno grabs them and keeps going, but then his battery runs dry. Luckily, that's exactly when a Puerto Rican in a space van happens by and rescues them. The rescuer, Felix, also turns out to be a smuggler and a big fan of Pluto Nash, so he takes him to Moon Beach, the moon's gambling destination. Rex Meteor owns one of its premier hotel casinos. Tony, from the movie's start, plays at this hotel, so Pluto and Dina get a room and a ticket to his show. Turns out, Tony's career took off after he changed his name to Tony Francis and became an Italian-style crooner. Unfortunately, Felix is at the same hotel, and Pluto never told him that he's infiltrating the place, and so Felix blows Pluto's cover. Still, Pluto does get to see Tony's early show, in which he proves that he does not really have the vocal timbre to be an Italian crooner. Pluto meets with Tony backstage, and he calls in his favor so that Tony will help Pluto reach Rex Meteor. Meanwhile, he has Dina and Bruno rent a getaway car. Unfortunately, Tony's plan is too crazy for Pluto, so they go back to the ground floor and get captured by security. They also capture Dina and Bruno. Pluto wakes up in Rex's penthouse, and he discovers that Rex Meteor isn't a clone of Marucci, he's a clone of Pluto Nash. Marucci was the original mastermind behind Moonsign Gambling, and he cloned Pluto while he was in prison because he needed someone who knew the moon's underworld. Clones can also get your memories, apparently. But Rex turned on Marucci and killed both him and the cloning specialist, leaving him in charge of the whole operation. Incidentally, being a clone is also how Rex knew that Pluto would be at the hotel and the safe house. Rex has been trying to kill Pluto since he got in his way, but now he's having fun, and so he drags Pluto's companions into the penthouse. He also brings in his incompetent goons and finally kills them for screwing up too much. He then shows off his plans for Club Pluto, and Pluto takes advantage of his distraction to wrestle him for his gun. And because both of them are wearing the exact same outfit for some reason, you know what happens next. Ultimately, Pluto bluffs Rex's guards by shooting Bruno, who can be repaired, and so they shoot Rex dead. Pluto then sends away the androids and knocks out the chief lieutenant, but it turns out that Rex is just as paranoid as Pluto, and he was wearing a bulletproof undershirt. Still, after just a little more wrestling, Pluto throws Rex through the penthouse window. Time passes, and Dina sings for Club Pluto's grand reopening. All his friends are there, and it's happy endings all around. The analysis. I remember reading, once upon a time, a question that Isaac Asimov asked, or rather a question that he believes every author should ask. If you could tell your story in a modern-day setting, then why make it science fiction? If you could cut out all the sci-fi set dressing, replace all the sci-fi characters with regular people, and still have the plot unfold the exact same way, then why are you bothering? Now, Asimov is not saying that stories like these are not welcome among true science fiction fans. What he's saying is that you're wasting your opportunity. And the Adventures of Pluto Nash has wasted its opportunity. Now, mind you, a wasted setting is not the only problem Pluto Nash has. The sets are big but cheap, the effects can't deliver what the script and action scenes ask for, funny actors are stuck in unfunny roles, Eddie Murphy sleepwalks through most of the movie compared to the energy he can deliver, and most of the jokes are either too lowbrow to be trying or else references to pop culture, as if that's supposed to be funny in itself. There are ways of pulling off both kinds of jokes, but Pluto Nash failed to do so. I will say the soundtrack was surprisingly good, but paired with this movie, it came off as melodramatic. But let's set all of that aside and refocus on the plot and the setting. Pluto Nash, in terms of its plot, is a classic mid-century crime film. Strip out all the science fiction, and you've got a club owner in Reno, just before gambling goes legal throughout Nevada. The owner is a former bootlegger. The robots are either Chinese or black. The safe house is in the middle of the Nevada desert, and the big reveal is that the mob boss is the protagonist's twin brother. Sure, you'd lose out on the cloning angle, but that little plot cul-de-sac didn't go anywhere and could easily be removed by just changing some of Rex Crater's exposition. The wasted opportunities go even further than just the plot. All the guns look like normal guns, except some are painted red or blue and they make pew-pew noises. The cars are still cars, even though they float and drive themselves. Dance clubs look just the same, and casinos on the moon still employ Italian crooners who sing "Fly Me to the Moon." It feels like the future setting of Pluto Nash only exists to make unfunny jokes and to get away with cheap sets. Let me give you a couple of counterexamples so you can understand what I'm getting at. There are two movies that I kept thinking about while I was watching Pluto Nash: Total Recall and The Fifth Element. Total Recall is about a guy who wants to have a high-octane spy vacation on Mars, except that he finds out that he really is a spy, and he proceeds to have a high-octane adventure on Mars. Except, maybe he's not. Maybe he's stuck in the simulation chair, having a seizure. Or maybe the simulation is working as intended, and the moment the movie ends, the main character will wake up, and the operator will congratulate him and show him the door. Total Recall is pure Schwarzenegger action, but it also takes some time to make the audience question things like identity, the nature of memories, and the nature of reality. It's usually not something you can do without straying into science fiction, especially if you want an action-adventure romp at the same time. For its part, The Fifth Element makes full use of its setting. You've got aliens visiting Earth in ancient times. You've got a character who's a living plot device, and the subject of a prophecy. You've got flying car chases that use all 3 dimensions. And you've got guns that shoot a lot more than just zappy bullets. The setting of The Fifth Element influences the plot and the characters. It's not just a thin veneer over a plot that could have happened in 1953. So here's my recommendation. Don't watch Pluto Nash, watch Total Recall, watch The Fifth Element, and enjoy yourself. Thanks for joining me again for today's film review, and I hope I'll see you next time for another take on a Confederate victory.